Satnam, this video is going to explore some of the more interesting sitting postures. Okay, so we talked a bit about Sukhasana earlier, which is the easy pose. And you can decide whether you're, again, a right foot in front, left foot in front, or you like to switch. I tend to be right, but when I remember, I do switch, especially if I'm sitting for long periods of time. I will definitely switch. And there are times when I like to open this. And there are times when, yes, I will use this too, because I find for certain periods of time after a course where you're on the ground, I want a little bit easier lift, so I'm going to put this under me. Don't be shy. Okay? Use that as is required. Again, let's sort of this version of Sukhasana. You reach under those glute muscles, pull them aside so your sit bones, and you'll decide, is it slightly to the front, on, even being slightly to the back when you're learning isn't such a big deal. Over time, you'll be able to come up a little bit, but you don't want to use so much effort that it, one, strains you through the hips or at the knees. So again, you may find this is better suited for sitting and meditation. Now you're going to come across kriyas that have other postures in it. Okay? You may be asked to do Padmasana. And if you're in Padmasana, it's lotus. Okay? So I'm just going to show you a couple things. When in doubt, don't. If you force yourself into this, your knees may be most upset. So we're going to adhere to don't hurt yourself. Pay attention to what you can do. Before you're going to do full lotus, you're going to do something called half lotus. Now, I recommend, that before you even try any of this, that you've done some hip openers. And other videos, you'll find we have many things for hip openers. But since we're just dealing with sitting, if you're going to do lotus, I always recommend lift up the heart. Use your lower core. But for this, bring your foot up like this and turn it upward. Then you might want to take your hands here and kind of pull the flesh so it rolls in a bit. A little bit of room there is going to mean a lot. If you're able to do half lotus comfortably, wonderful. The time to explore the full lotus is when you can bring this foot out here. If this foot's here, and you don't have to do this in order to bring your foot up. If you're having to collapse your chest to bring your foot up, that is too much stress on your hips or your knees. If you're able to keep this up, great. And by the way, lifting up off the pelvis will give you far more room so that you can just eventually just slide the foot in. So this is considered a basic sitting posture. You'll find this in the teacher training manual that we practice this. And there are a number of kriyas where we have lotus. One of the common ones in the creative energy series, towards the end, you pick up and do this, pick up in lotus. A whole lot easier actually in lotus to pick yourself up. This would be fine. You can decide. Some people find, I'm much more open. Start on my left side. Well, that's the side. Do that. But don't get hung up about, the Kriya asks for lotus and I can't do it. Lotus is a wonderful posture. Padmasana is great. But it's not essential for your development as a yogi. But it is nice. We'll cover this more. It's just one of the basic sitting postures. I thought it'd be fun to share with the things that you'll find in your teacher training manual. There's another one that I find amusing. It's there. It's rarely taught. but it's in the sitting section, and it's called Siddhasana. Now, Siddhasana literally means perfect pose, which is funny because I was once given a small scolding by Yogi Bhajan for even using the word perfect. And he said, "We don't do perfect, perfect does us." And that's a good mindset. We do correct. So, a correct approach to perfect posture is this. Okay. What it is, where you're going to have your left heel in all the way. So there's going to be a little pressure on the perineum, okay? Then you're going to bring your right foot up, and it's going to tuck into this little crevice of your left leg, at which point you can scoot forward a little bit and bring the toes up. What it's going to do, it's kind of wonderful, where you have a little bit of perineal pressure on the sit bones. So it creates a triangle, two sit bones, and in this case, the left heel. Another approach to the same thing, and you may like this better. If you start, take the right foot, tuck it in. And by the way, this is just starting on this side. You could do it the other way, although classically, in the classical, it's done in this particular way of starting, right foot into the left. Then you bring this other foot here, come in, come up, bring it through. So it's a little, like a small version of lotus. If you haven't tried it, I recommend it. You can try it as part of your morning meditation. See how you like that. Interesting enough, when you have pressure on the perineum, it has the ability to keep you more focused. Maybe it's just because you've got this pressure down there, so you're just automatically drawn into a focus. I find it very helpful. If you haven't tried it, give it a shot. For those who are in the teacher training programs, just make reference to the sitting section of the teacher training manual, and there it will be, Siddhasana. Okay. Other classic sitting postures we talked about in another video, Vajrasana, but I'm going to cover it again. Again, I like to sit with my toes crossed. Not everybody does. And depending on whether you're more right or left dominant, that will decide. I find having the left toe over the right very well suited. My knees are fist apart. It does require a little more subtle sophistication to find that sweet spot of balance. But, that's why I like to put my hands here. I'm going to find my, What I'm doing, I'm adjusting my pelvis. Gravity is fairly constant from the earth, but I'm a gravitational field as well, so I can adjust my weighted center to better take advantage of that. So I've found it now. So I can now more easily engage, lift the chest up, the shoulders down, and just draw that chin in ever so slightly. Let me show you a little trick, though. I love little tricks. I'm like a magician who has no problem with giving away his secrets. I'm going to give them all away. How to get the shoulders to hang. We've come from an environment, and I'm guilty of finding myself looking at my device, our little devices. And when I do that, my wife will comment, I'm supposed to be the posture master, and she'll be reminding me to stand up correctly. So I'm not beyond, the reminders. But what's really helpful, if you bring the chest up, take your shoulders up and back, and then bring them down, and let them relax. It's a way of guiding them into their home, and they can hang. Otherwise, if you allow your chest to fall, well, there's no way to avoid your shoulders rising. But if you haven't learned to use this to bring this up, there's not going to be the room for your shoulders to go back, and you'll see how that's going to be applied. I'll show you one right now. This is a forward bend, but it's going to rely on proper use of the shoulders. It's in a few different kriyas where you use the yoga mudra posture. Now, if you're here, I don't have much room to get my arms to come up. And the reason is my scapular bones are locked up against my spine that's not moving. Once I bring this up, I can draw my scapular bones in, and the shoulders can come down, and then I can go forward like that. Good example of heart before head. In the Kriyas that this is being taught with, it's usually inhale, exhale. When I come up, I'm coming up from the pelvis. This is very similar to our cat-cow, or our spinal flex. Inhale, starting here. So I'm actually going to start here, a little bit in front of the natural sitting position here. If I start here, guess what? I don't have the room to easily get my shoulder blades back. If I come up to here, lots of room. So these are nice things. You've just done that. There's, bowing japsad, where you're doing the whole recitation, usually internally because you're moving, of Guru Gobind Singh's Bani. The more advanced way, inhale, exhale. But if you look at it geometrically, what you're seeing is just a greater expression of this. My ability to bring the pelvis forward holds the key to this. That's where the leverage. I can bring this forward, which then gives me the leverage to get the shoulders back, the chest comes out, arms come up. Takes far, far less effort than if you're in the wrong part of your sit bones and moving from here. Again, if you are here and trying to go forward from here, well, it's a lot of work. If you can go to here, even if you can't easily get your hands, even if you have to do that, or just even that, it's still going to be easier over time, particularly as you come up on that inhale. You create that room and exhale. I'll show you one other sitting posture. Assuming you're warmed up. It's a posture in the Virasana category. Some call it hero pose. Some call it celibate pose. It's classically referred to as celibate pose in the world of Kundalini Yoga. This posture can be very stressful on your knees. So, I'm holding this up because it's a prop. Some people just need a little support. That's a lot easier. There are a few kriyas where you actually stay in this for a bit. It's an interesting thing because you can inhale all the way down to the pelvic floor. You can actually feel your pelvic floor if you're, even with a prop, connecting to the earth. So it's not so much even the sit bones. You're going to be slightly in front. You're going to be able to go all the way down. For many, this is not going to be enough support. A block, much better. Much better. You may not feel like you're doing much, but you are. And the reason is you're still going to have the pelvic floor, okay, in contact with some part of the earth. So it's not the same as sitting in rock pose, although you may have to if this doesn't work either. But for most people, celibate pose can be accommodated with a block. And you're going to get the benefits of the posture by having that connection to the earth. And you'll be able to breathe even lower than when you're sitting, simple, easy pose, or even in rock pose. You can take your inhale right down to the foundation of your pelvis. And one of the reasons you don't have to use so much of this engagement because you're going to get it straight from the earth contact up. something, to consider. Why would you want to do that? Well, having a stronger pelvic floor, all the urogenital muscles will become stronger. This will become important for your long-term health and well-being. Okay, so that's celibate pose, one of the poses referred to as Virasana.